So let me know if you're able to see my screen, everyone. Check my screen is visible.
Yes, bro.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So as we can see that in the last session we have discussed something about the TCP flag, right? So we have discussed about what is these flags contain the synchronize, acknowledge, finish, reset, push, urgent. So we got through with some of idea about these type of flags while we are getting communicate with the network. The synchronizer initiate the packet whenever a network or a server is receive a request from the client. And acknowledge, as we have discussed, that is used to send and acknowledge that successfully have received the packet. Finish, as you know, very general. We are going to finish this packet, right? We are going to uh, terminate the sessions, right? Where we don't want to send any data. That is can be considered as finish. A reset due to some reason, due to some technical issues or something has happens with the TCP connection, so it might get reset. And we have the push, which is required. Instead of buffering, the data should be sent immediately. And urgent is required. Immediately, the data should be sent to the application. This is how, where we can see the TCP flags we have. Now, what next? As we seen that all the communication which happens between the TCP and UDP, right? These are the transport protocol, correct? Whatever the traffic is getting carrying, either it can be the TCP traffic or UDP traffic. Now, what type of information is carried? What type of services we carry? What is the difference between the TCP and UDP? In a very simple. So, if I'll say the connection oriented and connectionless, what do you mean by that, guys? Can you tell me that? What do you mean by that? I want you to please respond this. The connection oriented or connectionless mechanism system, as we have discussed in the last session about this.
TCP is a connection oriented.
What do you mean by the connection oriented?
Three-way handshaking take place here.
Okay, very good. So as we can see that whenever I talk about the connection oriented, it's required the three-way handshake should be happening, right? And if I talk about whenever we are discussing about the UDP, there is no connection setup will happen. It's a connectionless mechanism. Because whenever we talk about the connection oriented, which is can give us a guaranteed service on. So connection oriented services like HTTP, HTTPS, FTP, SMPT, SSH, we have Telnet, POP3. There are different type of the protocols are there where we're going to use the TCP. So guarantee reliable deliver retransmission of lost packet. They ensure all the data is going into the order. They perform the flow control, conjunctions control. They require the three-way handshake for this type of setup. So that's some of important, right? Connection oriented, rearrange the data packet in a specific order. TCP is lower. It's the error and correct it. It's reliable and give the acknowledgement for each of these data. So in the case of the UDP, when we talk about it, where the several what type of service we use on the UDP. UDP are used for overall real-time communication. We can see the VoIP call, voice over IP, that can be a Skype, Zoom. This call we are doing it, right? So that just happens on the UDP. So video streaming, that is can be a person is doing the YouTube, Netflix, or sometimes they might use some Facebook streaming, all those things. That is a real thing. Online gaming, like where we have PUBG and so on. So these type of services where it is carries on the unit. If we can see that uh, as we are doing this meeting and as we discuss that, here we know very well I have spoken many times about this. Let me show you that again. Mhm. Okay. Are you able to see this, guys, everyone? Yes? Hello?
Yes, yes.
So what we see here? What is this? UDP, right?
UAP protocol.
User,
Yes.
yeah, user datagram through which where the communication goes. So here we can see that whatever the packets are transferring, it's from UDP because this is the a real-time communication. That is we call as we can see here. In here, as we can see that this is happening on this processor, right? So where we can see that there is no fixed connection, connectionless, no fixed order, UDP is faster. Because if it is wait for the response, whenever we are seeing that, both may not happens like real-time communications. No connection, no error correction, unreliable, and there's no acknowledgement for the packet. Because if it is going at giving the acknowledgement, then the packet will not be get delivered as fast as possible. So this is the some of the difference between the TCP and UDP, as we have seen that. So based on the protocol, based on the services, where we're going to use this. So when I always say that the speed, when it is come faster speed, which we require for the real time. So that's the reason UDP is fast. In order, the delivery will be sent it, while you've been sending it. Then the TCP is slow. Guarantee bit rate required, especially when you're doing the banking sector or getting required to be getting access to the web application, sending an email. So those are or file transfer if we are doing it. In that case, we require the guarantee bit rate. Then we use the TCP. UDP are used when we are going to do the gaming or we are doing some real-time transmissions, right? So that is how. So lightweight, no connection setup is required. Smaller header is there, right? Streaming like for the gaming, and it is no guaranteed rate, but faster here. The faster is because whatever the packet is lost is lost. Let's say that an example. As we are getting communicate this, so when I send you one packet frame, voice frame, let's say that I send you something, but there is a voice break happen. Now, when there's a voice break, the certain number of bits got break. Then is that get repaired or I have to retransmit again? What do you think? It's very simple. As we are getting communicate, while I'm saying you something, some voice breakage happen. So at this point, is that we need to repeat that word or again it network it should repeat that?
Network won't repeat, right? So you need to repeat that.
Exactly. So because that is what voice break will be there. That is the reason we can say it's not guaranteed bit rate. So that's the reason how the packet will be selected. This is how the possibilities are there, but that is when we do.
It means
All right.
mobile communication and landline communication is UDP communication.
That is a different. That is happens on the frequencies. They have the different type of frequencies when they get communicate over the mobile. They have the coupling frequency, downlink frequencies, right? So
Yes.
the different process where it is comes because the coding schemes are different. What happens in that if you're using your mobile phone, if you're saying hello, the hello will be an analog signal which is goes to the transmitter, right? That is into the mic when we say that. So when over the mobile communications, if I'll say hello, so the analog signal will go to the mic, and from that there are the different coding schemes we'll be using. Because all these communications will happen through the electromagnetic wave, right? So means like your mobile to the tower, the nearest tower what we have. So our mobile is connected to those frequencies and through which the informations get traveled. Got it? Are you getting my point?
Yes, yes.
So there are the different technology when I talk about it. Yes, if in the networking part, some of the area is similar. Like, whenever we are seeing that when we are sending any voice packet, right? So there is certain process are there. There are the certain frames are there when we are saying that. So mobile call, which is happens with the cellular network, it depends upon the technology what we have it. We have the voice services, we have data services. What is that? So it means like how should I tell you that? It varies with the technology, you know. It completely varies with the technology. Like
Sir, but
uh,
here, sir, also using protocol for transmission
yes,
signal.
yes, yes, yes. They have their own protocol. We call it a circuit switch network, packet switch network. So what we have been we have the VoLTE, right? Voice over LTE. Have you heard about that? Anytime.
Yes, yes.
So in that, what they have it something called as a IP multimedia subsystem. Because LT is different, VoLTE is different. So whenever they decide it, right? So LT is designed purely for getting access data to the user. Now, after sometimes what they have it on the same LTE network, they added the IMS services, IP multimedia services, because it
Mm,
starts making the call. So the calls happens how based on the SIP messages. So there are the session initiation protocols are we call as a SIP. So the
So
voice.
the voice.
So here we can see that the all the voice packet which have been transmitting, right? That is using the SIP systems where setup it is happening, and they use a different type of coding here, like AMR. We have enhanced voice services and so on. So overall, that is process where we can see that. Even we have the 5G. 5G is nothing but where here again the
Here
same
again the
technology
same
which
technology.
excuse me, they also use the same technology. So they have the fallback mechanism system where they've been working. So there are having certain technology coding systems while being being sent it to. Got it?
yes, yes.
Now, so when we are talking about the ports, so which is very important part, right? So there are the several networking ports are there and through which the communications happens. So whenever we are talking about, whenever we are discussing about, the services, like FTP, Telnet, SSH, SMPT, DNS, DHCP, HTTP, and so on. There are the several protocols we have. And also there are the different type of port numbers we have, right? Now, when I say that, what is this port number actually? What exactly the information is carrying? So, how many ports are there? I'll tell you. 0 to 65,535 ports are correct. So 0 to
Yes,
65,535 ports are there. In that, so whenever we talk about this is at the whenever we talk about it, these are based on the services, right? So what type of services it is? Ports allow multiple network applications. Like it can be a web servers, it can be the email server, it can be the browser downloading any type of information. So what type of ports are there? What type of services it carries, right? So we have something like 0 to 65,535. Now, there's one question for you. Can you tell me that how many ways are there to get in your house? Whatever you imagine and tell me. How many ways are to get in your house? Gas, Nazir, Oko, okay, Abba, Amir,
Only
Arfat,
one.
everyone.
Only one, bro, for my house.
Nazir have only one way to get in his house. Okay, fine, Nazir. What
Two
about
ways,
you? Okay. Amir, how many ways are there to get in your house?
two ways, one from garage and one from the main entry. Two ways here.
Two ways, right? Now, guys, let's understand here. When I ask you how many ways are there to get in your house, so we started talking about the most common ways where we get in and out, right? Yes or no? Correct.
yes, yes. Mm,
But there are
Yes,
a lot of ways are there, right? I didn't ask you the question if you see that. I didn't ask you how many ways are there where the human beings will get entered. Ways are to get in. So what we start talking about it, how many ways are there? We have to. This is the most common we use. But there is also the windows, there is also the ventilation, there is also the pipeline is going out. There is also the some cables are coming in going out. There might be a chances, there might be a rat has made a way that he may get in and out. We don't know what is that way, but that might be a several ways we have it, correct? To get in and out.
Yeah.
Are you getting my point?
If coming
So
to that,
what
yeah, coming to that, there are many ways,
the many ways.
uncountable ways.
Yes, uncountable. We don't know what is that. But the most common which we use it, this one, right? Similar way, here also we have something will says that what is that? Well-known ports. Well-known, the most common ports we can. So that is our 021023. So this is when we talk about it. This is at the well-known ports. So whenever we are getting access to the services, like example, will input out there, what type of services we carry. Example, we know that FTP. FTP work on the port number 20 and 21. HTTP, which is work on the port number 18.
80,
We have HTTPS, which work on the port number 443.
443,
Right? Right?
SSH,
SSH, which is work on the port number 22. Telnet, which work on the port number 23, and so
23.
on. Yes, so on. There are the several processes are there where we know that this is are the fixed protocols which are there while they get communicate over the network. And also we know that there are some other port numbers. So what are those ports? Like that is are called as a registered port. That is we call as a registered port. So what is this registered port? So whenever we are getting access to the service, right? So 1024 to 49151. This will be considered as a registered port for the application that can be used for the software, that can be used for any services. Like if I'll say that the Skype, if I'll talk about the Zoom. So if we see that what is the Zoom number here, like the protocol number. It's like not specifically fixed is that it can be random again. Okay. So can you see this here? This is a Zoom applications. What is that port number? 88011.
8801.
So this is an application, right? It is 8801. So it's coming into this one, right? The second rate, right? This is for the applications, correct? Applications, or I can say that like any type of software when we are using. So we have seen the port number for this, as you can see that 8801. 8801, which range is it? This range is coming in this or not? Correct?
Yeah, registered ports.
Yes. So this is have been considered as in for the application. Then what we have the next?
Sir,
Like
excuse me.
yeah.
Yeah, it means well-known port 021023. This one assigned for only protocol.
See, this is for the fixed services like HTTP, HTTPS,
All
FTP,
are
SH.
all are protocol. I think.
Yes, yes. This is all also
For
protocol.
protocol,
Yes,
for protocol 0211023.
yes, yes. Okay.
And
So
another question, sir. FTP two port here. You write here, sir.
mhm.
Can two port using FTTP, FTP?
Yes, I'll tell you about that. See, I'll explain you about these port numbers and everything. Okay.
Okay.
Why there is a two port number? Similar like we have seen that. There is another thing is the DSCP, if you remember. We have the 68 and 67, right?
Yeah,
One is for client, one is for server, right? But in this case, this is not for client and server. What is that? I'll tell you. Give me one. Okay. It is for establishing the connection, it is for the data transfer. We'll discuss that. Register numbers where we have seen. Now, what is the next here? The next is the dynamic ports. The dynamic ports or the private ports we can see. So whenever we say about this private port, whenever we are discussing this private port, so that ranges are something like as 49152 to 6535. So all these ports here where we can see them. 65,536. So this is at the private port that is used for the client. the temporary post which is used for whenever any user is getting access. So here we can see that client whenever getting communicated, that is happens is that means like the computer whenever it's getting connected. Got it, my point? Is that clear, everybody?
Bro, can you please repeat the private port? Sorry for that.
Private put private put is for
Yeah.
the client computer here. If you can see that, now this is my computer, right? What is the port number?
Mhm.
54011, right? Are you able to see this here?
Yes,
So are coming in which range, guys? Can you tell me that?
Last
Okay.
range, private
The
port.
first range, the second range, or third range? Third range, right?
private port.
Yeah.
Private port. So that is for the client. This is the client, right?
Okay, so every system, computer, desktop is going to be comes under private port.
Yes, 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 yes. They're going to
Mhm.
be getting. This is how the
Okay, I
ports
have
are.
one more doubt.
Yeah.
Okay, I have one more doubt, brother. Like you have said that registered port for 880 is for some like one specific application, right? So it will be get
Zoom.
changed every time, or it is fixed for one
Yes, it
specific
varies.
application.
It varies, but within that range.
Okay, like 880, 882, like
Yeah.
series.
See, this is not
Okay.
fixed now. This is not fixed. 54001. It will get changed. You got my point.
Hmm. Okay.
Client will not be the same with that. Only for this session. When the session ended, again we start the sessions. Might be we get some other code. You got my point.
Okay, I got it, brother. For the specific period of time, they will provide registered ports and the what you can say.
Mm.
So
I got it,
is
brother.
it both for the private and registered port?
Yes.
So registered port also changes by the session. It's
It's
not
service.
dedicated to the
It's
Zoom,
not
right? Like,
dedicated. Yeah. It's not
okay.
specifically we can say that. If we go and say that 8801 is looking for the Zoom, no, we don't know what has happened, right? That is what.
Yeah. Let's say if we have ended the session and started the Zoom again, so the port number might change.
Correct. Possibility. Correct. Okay.
Okay.
So that is how, it will be there, process which happens whenever we are seeing that. So there are the different ports and different services it might be called. It depends upon the INA whenever we are seeing that. Okay. So it unassigned, we can say that. It's unassigned, but it picked from those applications. You got my point?
Yeah, I understood, but my question is like the name says registered port. I thought like every application or software whichever comes into the IT, then it will be having a dedicated port,
Not, no.
something like that.
Like a
Not like that.
registered port is there for the applications, right? This is at the
Yeah,
registered port for the application. It means like
right.
officially they have not assigned this to any services. Are you getting my point?
Yeah, understood.
But they'll pick up from those ports. Depends upon. Okay. So how
Yeah.
we are going. Fine. Now guys, let's have a look from there. Now FTP, the file transfer protocol, where I have the port number 20 and 21, right? Now what does it mean by this? How it happens? First of all, let's understand that. When I say that FTP, what is the purpose of FTP? Can you tell me that here? Have you ever heard
File
about the
transfer
FTP?
protocol.
Yeah. So why we have the file transfer protocol? So the file transfer protocol is a standard network protocol which is used to transfer the file between the client and server. Correct? Yes. So
Yes.
over the network, if you are sending any file, we require the FTP here. Now these FTP, what it will do it enable for uploading, downloading the file between the computers, operate on the applications, whatever, the model they have it. Here we have the two port numbers. What are those? The port numbers are 20 and 21 here. And this is a TCP based connection. This is a TCP based protocol. Now, TCP based protocol, it means like it required, whenever we talk about connection setup, it's required, there is required the three-way handshake. Correct?
Yes, bro.
Required the three-way handshake here. Where we can see that the FTP is a TCP based and it just required the three-way handshake whenever they set upping the connection. And 21, if I'll talk about the port number, which is used for connection establishment. And when I talk about the port number 20, which is used for the data transfer. It's like, as we have seen, guys, let's see that. our client. Client is our computer, correct? Yes or no? Client is going to
Yes.
communicate with the server. Now, this server is HTTPS. So, sorry, HTTPS. Now, what would be the client port number? Some random port number. Can I say that this is a client port number? What would be the server port number here?
443.
Very good. The same thing, the client is when in the same scenario, let's say that the same scenario, but here the server is changing to the FTP. The server changes to the FTP now. So the client is going to connect to the FTP. So here again we have the random. Here we can see that some random port number I have. Now what would be the server port number?
21.
Exact. This is the 21. Like the handshake will happen. It's like client and server get. Let me give you one example. Live example. Give me one. Hey guys, imagine that this is my client, right? Let us consider this is my client computer. Now this is the client which is going to communicate with the server. So let's say that this is our server. So the client is in one IP address and server we have one IP address, right? So this is the server, FTP server. Right? This is an FTP server where we can see. Now here we go ahead and see some more detail. We grab it according to that we'll get an idea. So I may consider this is as a client. What is an IP address for this server? I'll consider this as a server. What is an IP address here, guys? Can you see that?
192.168.29.
Right. Server, it's been considered as a 129.168.29.115, right? So here, let's say that, when we are getting communicate over that, we have the FTP server. So this FTP server we can consider as 192.168. What is that?
29.
29, right? 29.115, correct? So this is our FTP server. Now FTP client also we require. So let us consider this machine. I'll been considered as client. So we'll consider this 192.168.29.113. So we'll consider this is as a client here. Okay. So according to our use case, we'll say that this is my client here. So this IP address is considered as a client. Now, what will be the client port number? Random port number. To get understand, shall I take this one? Or to get understand? Simple, right? Practically, we'll see some other here, okay? We'll see that now. Here, what would be the port number for the server? 21, correct? Everyone.
Yes.
So means like client will send a request, the first request, that is nothing but we consider that this is as a synchronized request, right? That is happening between port number as 42421 to 21. This is what we do. Now, if the connection is, if the port is open and if the reply is getting back from the client, from the server will send it the message like synchronize and acknowledge message, correct? According to the three-way handshake. Synchronize and the acknowledge again willing to communicate. And this is happens between the port number as 21 to 42421, where we can. Now finally, as we can see that the client is going to reply back with as an acknowledge. 2421 to 21, it sends this that as an acknowledging. So here we can see this is an acknowledge will be sent it between the 42421 to 21. Correct? Yes, everybody? Is
Yes.
that clear? So let's see that practically how it happens. So what is our client here? That is our host, okay? So I have to give the client. So here we can see the client is 192.168.29.115, right? So this is our server, sorry, this is our server. Now here we can see that the port is same. So 192.168.29.115, we can be say that the target host. And the port is the remote port, that is 21. And that this is the TCP port, correct? Yes or no, everyone?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now what I'll do it, the same while I want to, like, I want Wireshark to be open. With all the packets, whatever is getting transferred, where I'm going to capture that using the Wireshark. That is on the ETS 0. This is the ETS 0. So here, if I can see that, if I'll go to the stats, if I'll go to the stats, if I'll go to the protocol hierarchy. So here, I won't be able to see. Are you able to see anywhere FTP here? Is that FTP? No, right? We don't have FTP protocol here, right? SMB, we have it. We have like multi-domain names and all, right? So let us do this. Let the transmission is going on. So I want to make it this as I want to be have like FTP also that to be get captured. So I'll just type the run here and see establishing the connection. And here it says that it's got an access to the FTP system. Let's say that if I type if config, I can be able to see some IP address. So this is the FTP server through which I have connected. Now what I'll do it,